history of all those countries who have shown accelerated development and who have been able to overcome poverty in their societies, their efforts to grow and overcome poverty are directly proportional to the success they have achieved in controlling their population growth rates. So it is not possible for a country which is growing at a very fast growth rate of population increase to carry out balance between its resources and the needs of its population. Unfortunately, in Pakistan, we have had many success stories in many areas, but population control is one area where we have not been able to have a significant success or noteworthy success. On the other hand, we are unable to somehow control the increase in population. Now, why is it so? There are many socio-economic reasons. Maybe some people feel that there are cultural barriers. Some people feel that there are also education barriers, because in many countries it has been found that the growth of population rate is also directly related to how less are the girls in that country educated. So there is an inverse relationship between population growth rate and the education of the girls. The more educated the girls are, there is going to be less growth rate in population. So one of the main important drivers for us to have a successful population control program, besides ensuring that the means for population control, contraceptives are available, but I think most important thing is that we need to prioritize education of the girls and make it #1 national priority, because the education of the girls will really help us bring some slowdown in this growth rate. But looking at all these socio-economic reasons, there is also a major governance issue. And that governance issue is that the formula that we have for distribution of financial resources, that places 80% weightage among provinces on the number of on their size of population. Now, how can you expect, when population control is a devolved subject, and if for any province, if they carry out a successful population control program, and if the size of their population also reduces, that actually means that their distribution, their share in the distribution of national pool of resources also reduces. So if a province has to have a larger share in the resource pool or the divisible pool that is shared or distributed amongst provinces, then each and every province has an incentive that it must post a higher population number so that it can justify bigger claim on the resources. So now if the province is responsible for all population control, but ultimately the resources that the province will get depends on the number of population it can show. So I think this is a big contradiction in itself. There is no incentive for any province to carry out a successful population control program. So I think the time has come that we need to seriously review the National Finance Commission formula for distribution of resources. While there ought to be some weightage for population, but I think there should be equal weightage for demographic efficiency or population control program success that province also shows, because then no province should feel that if I can carry out a successful population control program, I will not be penalized for carrying out a successful population control program. So this is not possible unless we have national consensus on this, and I would urge all the experts to really put forward this case before the policymakers, because we have many political controversies now associated with how census is done. Census has been a very controversial issue in Pakistan for last several decades. Some provinces have been constantly alleging that they are not counted properly. Why? Because in some provinces we have internal dynamics where it is very difficult to balance those competing, conflicting interests. So this has become quite an explosive issue, and you always see that whenever we have census, there are political controversies associated with census. So the only way, I think, to come out of it is that either we delink census with the distribution of national resources, so that census only becomes a development and an academic data, and it does not influence the distribution of resources, or if it has to be linked with distribution of resources,